Hello everybody and welcome back for some weekly VR news where I break down everything going on in the VR industry, prepare you for this week's new releases, and then focus in on a few major stories. Today, we finally have an update for the Quest 2 that actually matters. The Steam Winter Sale is still running with amazing deals. There's a new demo to check out for one of the most anticipated VR games of 2023. And VR is being successfully used to test for ADHD. Now, there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead to any specific story. But before we jump in, this video is brought to you by Resolution Games. I have the perfect New Year's resolution to all the VR gamers out there, and that's go ahead and play more games. From casual to competitive, social to single player, Resolution Games has you covered. Duel your enemies in Blast On, get the high score on Ultimax, chill out and catch some fish, launch some Angry Birds, get social with your friends in some casual gameplay, or embark on an epic journey. Whatever your style of gameplay is, Resolution Games absolutely has you covered. And you can check out more of their amazing titles from the link down in the description. Okay, so today's first story is this is the last chance to enter into my massive holiday giveaway. I'm giving away a pair of Nreal AR glasses, a Pico Neo 3 Link, a Kiwi Quest 2 Elite strap with battery pack, 5 copies of the Saints and Sinners Chapter 2, and finally one Quest 2 game of your choice. This giveaway is open globally, and there's a link down in the description if you want to enter. Okay, so moving into some actual news, the Turok-inspired dinosaur hunting title, Primal Hunt, is coming to the Quest and Pico headsets this January. In this cross-platform co-op title, you'll gear up with an array of different armors and weapons, and then hunt down some prehistoric beasts. Both mechanically and gameplay-wise, this looks like an intriguing title, but the only thing that comes to mind when I look at those graphics is this looks like a poor man's Horizon Call of the Mountain. Now, I know VR titles always look much better in game, and it's hard to judge them from a trailer, and I was also happy to see that this game looks quite brutal, but those graphics do definitely look pretty rough. Regardless, I can't wait to try this one, and maybe the gameplay more than makes up for those graphics. Now, unfortunately, that's the only new game to go over in this week's news, as it's fairly uncommon for new titles to release between Christmas and New Year's, and everyone's either just getting acquainted with their brand new hardware or looking for some holiday deals. And in the latter case, Steam has you covered. The vast majority of PC VR titles are currently on sale, but my biggest recommendations include Half-Life Alyx at only $24, Walkabout Mini Golf for $9, Pavlov for $14.99, After the Fall for $14.79, Contractors for $13.99, and Until You Fall for $12.49. Now, there's definitely other great games to recommend, but these are some of my personal favorites. But if you've been holding out for any PC VR titles, chances are they're on sale now, so go check out the Steam Winter Sale. And on a related note, the Steam interface has recently changed how they display VR support information, making it a bit more streamlined. There's flags for VR only, VR supported, and tracked motion controls. They've also added the VR support title to system requirements, which indicates if the title uses the Steam VR or Oculus runtimes, and I'm not exactly sure how useful that information is. But at minimum, I guess this means that Valve didn't completely forget about VR, or hopefully this is part of some bigger VR changes that are already on the way. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but many of us are hoping to see Valve return to VR in 2023. Speaking of things many of us want to see in 2023, the highly anticipated title Vertigo 2 is coming in March, but in preparation, they've just updated the game's free demo. Now, the demo's actually been playable for years, and it's definitely worth checking out, but unfortunately, this demo update doesn't add any new content, and just brings it more in line with what we should expect to see from the final release. The graphics and sound have been updated, there's now an upper body IK system, the overall lighting and enemy AI has been improved, and you can expect much better performance. So I think I'll have to jump back in and check this out, so I know what to expect when March finally comes. Now, if you're not at all familiar with the Vertigo series, this VR shooter is basically Half-Life meets Rick and Morty. You find yourself trapped in a crazy government facility and plenty of wacky alien creatures. If you never played the original Vertigo game, it is absolutely fantastic, and go pick it up right now. Now, another update came to everyone's favorite movie theater, Big Screen. Big Screen now supports a shared viewing experience from streaming services including Disney+, Twitch, YouTube, and Amazon Prime. Now, everyone will require their own subscription, and region content locks will still remain. But it's nice to see all these features and separate streaming services integrated into one single application. Some separate apps like Amazon Prime and Netflix also have their own personal limitations, and I prefer the added features that Big Screen has to offer. Now, moving on from game updates, we have an interesting story on how VR is being successfully utilized to identify ADHD symptoms. An interactive experience known as Apelli, Executive Performance in Everyday Living, which places you in a virtual environment and has you completing a series of tasks, while it utilizes machine learning and eye tracking technology technology to identify ADHD symptoms. There's a significant difference in the gaze of individuals who have ADHD, and they believe this technology will eventually be able to evaluate autism, traumatic brain injuries, adult ADHD, cerebral palsy, and other ailments. So this right here is just one more reason why VR is absolutely amazing. Which brings us to our next hardware story, a pair of VR haptic gloves that I definitely want to check out, but I remain quite skeptical of. DiverX, the same company that tried to bring us the Half Dive, a pretty crazy VR headset that had you lying down, has now moved on to haptic gloves after deciding to cancel that previous project due to lack of user interest. They currently have a Kickstarter campaign running for their contact glove, and with 23 days still remaining, they've already greatly surpassed their $200,000 goal. Now, similar to the Valve Index controllers, the contact gloves will individually track every single finger. They also have mounts so you can attach either Vive or Tundra trackers, and they'll be software for button press emulation, so theoretically you never need to pick up a controller. Now, the higher end models of the gloves will contain a flexible membrane capable of contracting and expanding and designed to replicate touch. It'll also provide vibration sensations on the back of the hand. Now, where the skeptic in me kicks in is I can't see gesture-based emulation being remotely as good as using an actual controller. And while a contracting membrane that squeezes your fingertips might actually provide a lot of haptic feedback, I doubt it will feel at all realistic, nor will it be worth the nearly $900 asking price. Just like many other VR accessories, the bang for the buck just isn't there. But I'd love to be proven wrong here, so let's wait till these gloves are officially released. Okay, so let's move into today's main story, and that is your Quest 2 is getting faster. Now, there's no hyperbole here, nor is it one of those stories where a new meta feature will suddenly give you a 30% performance boost when it's eventually released. Nope, this is a raw megahertz increase. Now, if you're unaware, the XR2 chipset in the Quest 2 is underclocked to help increase both thermal and battery performance. Until recently, the max GPU clock speed was 490 MHz, but it's been increased by 7% to 525 MHz. Now, while 7% doesn't sound like a huge difference, it might be just enough to help developers add new features, increase the render resolution, or keep their frames per second stable. Or if we don't get any of that, maybe at least the headset will stop lagging when we record games. Now, for comparison, the Pico 4 allows their GPU to go up to 587 MHz, which is roughly about 15% faster than Quest 2's original stock megahertz, and 10% above their new update. Now, with this extra headroom, developers Vertical Robot were able to significantly increase the graphics on Red Matter 2. This is also one of the reasons why the Pico 4 gets significantly warmer, features active cooling with a fan, and drains its battery at a significantly faster rate. So the Pico 4 has a little extra room of future-proofing here, but if you're up to date on VR news, you most likely know that 2023 will be the last year that the Quest 2 is most likely sold, and we should see the Quest 3 by the third quarter of 2023. The supposed leaked information on the XR2 Gen 2 chip has it twice as fast as the original XR2, so the days of the Quest 2 and even the Pico 4 are numbered, and I doubt we'll see many new games past 2024. So for right now, we have a 7% faster Quest 2, which is great because performance is the #1 issue for this headset. I know it's like trying to get blood out of a rock at this point, but every little bit helps. So kudos to Meta for making this happen, and while this update is currently active, we might not see any major changes until version 49 releases. Now, I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you happy to get any performance increase at all, or is this just too little too late? Now, that was today's weekly VR news. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and as always, I'll see you guys on next time.